Hey there. This week's real estate chat, we're talking about frequently asked questions first-time homebuyers have. So the main question is, what do I even do? What's the process? So the process is get connected to an agent. That can be me. So you've already done that step. Get pre-approved by a lender. I have preferred lenders that I work closely with and rely upon, and I would be happy to share that information with you so you can get connected to one and get pre-approved. So pre-approval is very important to know your budget, and also you'll need a pre-approval letter when you're ready to make an offer. So it's great to just start out with that in hand and ready to go, so that you can move quickly when you find a house you love. The next step is to get set up on an MLS search, and that's important because the most up-to-date information on houses on the market right now. It doesn't include for sale by owners, but it includes anything listed by an agent. And again, other websites pull all their information from that MLS, and so going directly to the MLS is the quickest and best way to have the absolute most up-to-date information. And again, I am happy to set that up for you. It only takes a few minutes, and we can get that step knocked right off. And then finally, the next step is your house hunting. And our team offers virtual house hunting. It's a specialty of ours, as well as, of course, traditional in-person house hunting, or a hybrid version of the two to help save you time and give you some convenience there. So send me a message and we can talk through what exactly those look like. But those are the steps. And then obviously you find the house you love, you go under contract, and we go through the contract period, and then we close and move you in. So again, connect with me, realtor, connect with a lender, get pre-approved, get on an MLS search, house hunting, contract, closing, and moving in. Those are the main steps in your home buying process, and those first few are how you get started, and we walk you through every single step and every single thing and are here to answer all your questions. Another question I hear frequently is, so biggest question is, what is this going to cost me? How much do I need to have set aside to purchase this house? Now, somewhat that just depends on your financing. If you're going to need a down payment, obviously you're going to need that set aside. That can be anywhere from 3.5% with an FHA loan to 20% with a conventional loan, anything in there. But you're going to need to know, again, talk to the lender, then we'll know if you're going to need a down payment set aside. Closing costs. Closing costs are usually around 2% of the loan, could go up to 3%. It kind of depends on, again, who your lender is and some other specific circumstances of your purchase. And I will help you walk through those numbers. We can ask the seller to cover closing costs. I frequently have success getting them to do at least part of the closing costs, so you may or may not need to have that cash on hand. If you're using a VA loan and then you're zero down and we get your closing costs covered, you don't have to worry about either of those expenses, but I do want to mention them in case you're using a different type of loan or simply choosing to have some of those expenses in order to make your offer stronger, which is also a consideration. Other costs you need to be prepared for during the transaction would be earnest money. That is a deposit you put down on your contract. It does go towards the expenses, your closing costs, your loan, your expenses of purchasing the house. It doesn't just go somewhere else, but it is something you will need to deposit with the title company as soon as you're under contract on a house, as soon as you have an accepted offer. So be prepared with that. That can go, it's any amount you choose it to be. My clients have done anything from $500 to $2,000, but again, depends on the price point of the house you're looking at. It can make your offer look better if it's a larger amount. So those are all considerations to keep in mind. But you will need to put that into, like I said, to the title company. It will go into an escrow account as soon as you're under contract on a house. You will also, if you choose to do a home inspection, which we highly recommend, you will need the money to pay for that. That payment is due at the time of service. Home inspectors around here, and depending on which inspection you do, a whole house inspection runs between $400 and $500. A radon test runs around $100, $125 on top of that, depending again on which inspector and what exactly you do. If you do any additional inspections, plumbing, HVAC, other things like that, there's additional costs on those. But the main ones people here do are whole house inspection and a radon inspection. And then a termite inspection. If you're getting a VA loan, you are required to do a termite inspection, but we ask the seller to pay for that per the terms of the VA system. And that runs about $65 to $100 depending on the company. But again, if you're using a VA loan, we'll ask the seller to pay for that. If you're not using the VA loan and you want to do a termite inspection to protect yourself, then of course that's something we recommend you do as well, and that's the cost of that. And so those are the inspections. And the next cost you need to be prepared for is the appraisal fee. Again, if you're using a VA loan or an FHA loan, you will be required to have an appraisal. Conventional sometimes do and sometimes don't require one, but it's a great idea to get one anyway, just to protect yourself and make sure you are not paying more than the house is currently worth. So an appraisal will run $500 to $600 as well. So earnest money, inspection fees, and appraisal fee are items you will need to have available to pay for before you actually close on the home. Other fees will generally be due at the time of closing, and it takes about 30 to 60 days, 45 being average, from the time your offer is accepted until the time we close and you sign everything and get the keys. So that's it. The next question, the next most frequently asked question is, how long is the contract period? What even is the contract period? So you find a house you like, you put in an offer, the seller accepts the offer, you are now under contract. And then after a time, you will actually close, sign all the paperwork, get the keys, and the title will be in your name. That is the escrow period or the contract period. In our area, 45 days is very standard for that period. That gives the lender time to get all the documents together, get the underwriting approval, get the appraisal completed. It gives you time to get inspections completed and negotiate any repairs from those inspections. So anticipate it taking about that long. We can reasonably ask for up to a 60-day close. Not all sellers will agree to that long, but some will. Anything over that is really hard to get a seller to accept. We can do on a loan, we can do a 30-day close, but that can be really pushing the time frame to get everything done. And it depends on some different situations in the market, whether that's even possible or not. But that would kind of be the shortest for a loan. If it's a cash buy, then we can do shorter than that. And then one final question is your first payment. Everybody wants to know when the first payment's due. You have a full month after closing before the first payment's going to be due, and it's always due on the 1st of the month with a grace period until about the 15th of the month. So if you close in November, anytime in November, if you close November 2nd, if you close November 30th, it doesn't really matter. If you close in November, your first payment's going to be due January 1st. It's always going to be a full month, at least a full month behind. So that's another great thing to keep in mind. Now this video is long enough, so I am going to let you go, but hopefully those answers help you as you plan your home buying. Any other questions or anything you want elaborated on from this, please don't hesitate to drop me a message, an email, a text, any way you would like to contact me. I'm happy to answer. Have a great rest of your week.